Welcome to SATV News. This is Qazi Farhana with your headlines. UN conference to provide path to resolution of Rohingya crisis, says Chief Advisor Dr. Yunus. Delay in polls will aid fascist forces, says AZM Jahid Hussain, demands quick announcement of election roadmap. Elections without real reforms undermine public trust, says Jamaat's Naibi Amir Muhammad Tahir. Now in details. Chief Advisor Dr. Muhammad Yunus has expressed the hope that the UN conference in New York in September last week will provide concrete pathways to the resolution of the prolonged Rohingya crisis. He said that the recent cut in financial support to the Rohingya sheltered in Bangladesh is taking its toll on the provision of the essential services, including health and education. The Chief Advisor requested Special Rapporteur on the situation of the human rights in Myanmar, Tom Andrews, to continue his efforts in ensuring the availability of the adequate funding. The issues were discussed when Andrews called on Chief Advisor Professor Yunus on Thursday, said Chief Advisor Deputy Press Secretary Abul Kalam Azad Majumdar today. Andrews lauded the leadership of the Chief Advisor for keeping the Rohingya issue at the forefront of the international agenda. He recalled the successful initiative of the Chief Advisor to convene the UN International Conference on the Rohingyas, which will be held on September 30 at the UN headquarters in New York. He further praised Bangladesh's engagement with different stakeholders in order to resolve the crisis. Meanwhile, the interim government has warned multiple media outlets for broadcasting a speech of the ousted former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina yesterday. The Chief Advisor Press Wing, in a statement issued today, said they regretfully note that some media outlets yesterday discredited the law and court orders by broadcasting a speech of the ousted dictator in which she made false and provocative statements. It also stated that if anyone publishes Sheikh Hasina's speeches in the future, immediate legal action will be taken. The government further urged the media to exercise caution and responsibility, as Sheikh Hasina's speeches are intended to create instability and incite violence in the country. The statement referred to a ban on broadcasting hate speeches by the former dictator that was issued by the International Crimes Tribunal last December. The statement highlighted that Sheikh Hasina fled the country after being accused of grave charges, including ordering the genocide of hundreds of peaceful protesters during the July uprising. It added that she has been convicted by the ICT and is currently facing trial for crimes against humanity. BNP leader AZM Jahid Hussain has urged the Election Commission to announce an election roadmap without delay. The BNP Standing Committee member made the call today during a discussion at the National Press Club in the capital. The interim government, led by Dr. Muhammad Yunus, has requested the Commission, including the Chief Election Commissioner, to hold elections by mid-February. Now, BNP wants the Election Commission to announce the election roadmap immediately. Mr. Zahid also warned that any delay in the vote would only benefit autocratic forces. Meanwhile, following a tree planting program, Dr. Moin Khan said that government has damaged the country's environment through corruption in the name of development. He further criticized coal-based power projects, saying they threaten the biodiversity of the Sundarbans. No nation can survive by destroying nature, he added. Bangladesh Jamaat Islami Naibi Amir Saad Abdullah Muhammad Tahir today said that without actual reforms, public confidence in elections will be undermined. A hasty or poorly managed election will fail to meet people's expectations, he warned. Speaking as the chief guest at a party program in Comilla City, the Jamaat leader also said his party wants a participatory, free, fair and impartial election. All legitimate parties should be able to participate and a level playing field must be ensured beforehand, he added. Besides, he said that if the government acts sincerely to remove these barriers, there will be no hindrance to timely elections. Elections must take place, otherwise the country could face a crisis, he asserted. The Jamaat leader further claimed that elections under the peer system would prevent autocracy and ensure credibility, unlike the traditional 54-year system. Vegetable prices have continued to climb in Dhaka market since July, with most items now selling above Dhaka 80 per kg. Eggs have also become costlier over the past 2 weeks, leaving many households under pressure to manage daily expenses. Markets in New Market, Lalbagh and Hatirpul showed that fish prices have remained mostly unchanged. Pangash has dropped from Taka 200 to 220 to Taka 190 to 200 per kg. Rui and Katla remain almost the same at the Taka 300 to 350 and Taka 400 to 450 respectively. Koi fish has fallen slightly from the 250 to Taka 230 to 40 per kg. Beef is stable at Taka 750 per kg and mutton at 1100. Broiler chicken is still selling at 170 to 180, Pakistani chicken at Taka 300 to 330 and Sonali chicken at unchanged rates. The egg markets remain heated with red eggs unchanged at Taka 150 per dozen and Taka 50 per hali. At least 4 people were killed today where a lorry overturned the crushed 2 private cars and a CNG-run auto rickshaw on the Dhaka-Chattogram highway near Kumul's Padur Bazar area. The accident occurred around 12:15 p.m. The Padur Bazar U-turn, confirmed Iqbal Bahar Mujumdar, officer in charge of Manamoti Highway Police Station. The deceased include 3 men and a woman. Their identities could not be confirmed immediately, police said. According to locals, the lorry toppled while making a U-turn and fell onto a private car and an auto rickshaw waiting nearby. Another private car was also damaged in the incident. Highway police and fire service personnel rushed to the scene after being informed and launched a rescue operation. Viewers, we're taking a short break. Stay with us. Welcome back to watching SATV News. News from abroad. The UN Human Rights Chief on Friday said that the emergence of famine in the northern Gaza is the direct result of actions taken by the Israeli government and said that deaths from the starvation might amount to a war crime. The famine declared today in Gaza Governorate by the Integrated Food Security Phase Classification is the direct result of the actions taken by the Israeli government, Volta Turk said in a statement read to reporters at a Geneva press briefing, referring to a report by the Global Hunger Monitor. It is a war crime to use starvation as a method of warfare, and the resulting deaths may also amount to the war crime willful killing, he added. Speaking from Gaza, who representative for the occupied Palestinian territory, Rick Peppercombe said the famine classification is staggering and that the situation is expected to worsen through September. Meanwhile, at least 30 Palestinians have been killed across Gaza since Friday dawn, including 25 killed in Gaza City. Israel's genocide on Gaza has killed at least 62,192 people since October 7, 2023.
Between mid-August and the end of September,
Ukraine's military struck the Unesco oil pumping station in Russia's Bryansk region. The commander of Ukraine's unnamed resistance forces, Robert Bovdi, said late on Thursday. Hungarian Foreign Minister Peter Szijjártó, meanwhile, said that the crude oil deliveries from Russia to Hungary via the Druzhba pipeline had been halted after an attack on the pipeline near the Russia-Belarus border. This is another attack against our emergency security, added Szijjártó. Ukraine has stepped up attacks on Russia's energy infrastructure, targeting a sector that plays a huge part in the financing the Kremlin's war efforts. Oil and gas sales account for the quarter of the Russia's total budget proceeds. Russia, meanwhile, has intensified its own attacks on Ukrainian energy infrastructure in spite of efforts by U.S. President Donald Trump to end the conflict. Sri Lanka's former president Ranil Wickremesinghe has been arrested in connection with the alleged misuse of the funds, police have said. The charge relates to the trips he took abroad while serving as the president. He arrived at magistrates' court in the capital, Colombo, on Friday, having already given a statement to the Criminal Investigations Department earlier in the day. Wickremesinghe served as the president from the 2022 to 24, stepped into the role after the country's worst ever economic crisis triggered a popular uprising caused his predecessor Gotabaya Rajapaksa to flee. He also served 6 separate terms as the prime minister from the 1990s onwards. According to the BBC's Sinhala report, the 76-year-old made 23 foreign trips during his time as president, at a cost of more than 600 million Sri Lankan rupees. China is willing to cooperate with Pakistan in industry, agriculture and mining, Prime Minister Wang Yi told Pakistan counterpart Ishaq Dar in Islamabad on Thursday, according to a readout of the meeting released by the Wang's ministry. Beijing would continue to support Pakistan in safeguarding its national independence, sovereignty and territorial integrity and combating terrorism, Wang told Dar, adding that China would continue to give priority to Pakistan in its regional diplomacy. During a joint press briefing, Dar said he was heartened by the Wang's vision for further enhancing our bilateral cooperation in trade, economic and investment fields. Wang, on a 5-day tour of South Asia, has visited India and Afghanistan, mending and consolidating ties with China's neighbors to the south days before the leaders' summit in China for the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, a 10-nation Eurasian security and political grouping whose members include China, Russia, India, Pakistan and Iran.
Enhancing our bilateral cooperation in trade, economics and investment fields, including
Meanwhile, Chinese ambassador to India Xu Feihong said on Thursday that Beijing opposes the tariffs imposed by the United States on Indian goods. China will firmly stand with India to uphold the multilateral trading system with the World Trade Organization at its core, Xu said. He added that Beijing welcomes more Indian commodities into the Chinese market. On Tuesday, India and China agreed to resume direct flights and boost trade and investment flows. Washington has pressured New Delhi over its purchases of Russian oil, and Indian exports now face additional U.S. tariffs of up to 50%, among the highest imposed by the United States in the dispute. U.S. President Donald Trump took his law and order messages to the streets of the nation's capital on Thursday, visiting a command center to thank law enforcement officers who are carrying out his crime crackdown. Trump last week deployed National Guard soldiers and federal agents to the city. He said he was temporarily taking over the city's police department in an extraordinary session of the presidential power, citing what he said is a violent crime wave. Meanwhile, city officials have rejected the assertion, pointing to federal and city statistics that show violent crime has declined significantly since the spike in 2023. However, The U.S. president, without citing evidence, told several hundreds uniformed personnel gathered at the U.S. Park Police and across the operations facility that their efforts were leading to a drop in crime.
Well, I just want to thank everybody very much for.
At least 17 people have died and more than 40 were injured on Thursday after two attacks in Colombia attributed to different dissident factions of the former FARC guerrilla group, reported authorities. In Cali, the country's third most populated city, a cargo vehicle with explosive detonated near a Colombian Air Space Force base in an incident that left 5 people dead and dozens more injured. Hours earlier, a National Police Black Hawk UH-60 helicopter participating in a coca leaf crop eradication operation was shot down in the municipality of Amalfi in the department of Antioquia, leaving 12 officers dead. Colombian President Gustavo Petro blamed the attacks on dissident factions of the former Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia guerrilla group that rejected a 2016 peace agreement and end a prolonged internal conflict that has left more than 450,000 dead. Weather conditions improved on Thursday evening, aiding efforts to control the 18 large fires that are still raging in Spain. Temperatures dropped and humidity increased, fanning hopes that an end may be in sight. Despite the favorable forecast, a huge thick cloud of smoke was seen late in the afternoon in Santa Cristina de Cobres as a new wildfire broke out in the Galicia region in the southwest Spain. About 3,400 troops from the army and 50 aircraft have been deployed for days nationwide to help firefighters, while the Czech Republic, Finland, France, Germany, the Netherlands and Slovakia have sent hundreds of firefighters, vehicles and aircraft. Spain's estimated burned area has exceeded 4 lakh hectares and is the largest on the record going back to 2006.
Héctor, ¿cómo sería llegar hasta ahí, tío? Porque ahí atrás está saliendo detrás de la ropa.
Before ending, we'll go to the headlines again. UN conference to provide path to resolution, offering a crisis, hopes chief advisor. Delay in polls will aid fascist forces, says Azadam Zahid Hussain, demands quick announcement of election roadmap. Elections without real reforms undermine public trust, says Jamaat Naibi Amir. You're updated with the top stories so far here on SATV, and to know the latest news, visit www.satv.tv. Stay with SATV.